Thank you, distinguished guests, honored faculty, family, friends, but especially thank you to the incredible undergraduate and graduate historians who make up Northeastern University's history department. This is probably not your first academic reception, but I've never been to one of these big things before. I didn't even go to my own high school graduation, actually. I was working on a culinary arts degree, and I assume that my sauteing skills are why I'm standing in front of you today. Since this is probably not your first honors reception rodeo, you already know where this speech is going. I talk about the importance of hard work and critical thinking. I give some advice, and I outline some of the exceptional experiences that my time at Northeastern has provided for me. And I wrote that speech. It was dope. There wouldn't have been a dry eye in the house. But that is not this speech. Not exactly. When I was first asked to speak today, I wasn't really sure what was expected of me, so I emailed Dr. Martin Blatt, and I asked him for some advice, and he was kind enough to offer a number of thoughtful suggestions, but as usual, I decided to first hone in on the advice that I found most amusing. He asked me to consider discussing what I felt I had learned in my time here. Hoo boy, I am way too silly of a person to let that slide by unaddressed. What have I learned in my time here? I've learned that fully grown grad students in the history department legitimately believe that there is an actual rat king living and growing within the creaking wrought iron underbelly of Missouri. I've learned that just because a student lounge has 6 computers in it, they're not actually going to work. And I've learned that the incredible women who make up my cohort are some of the strongest, smartest, coolest, and most innovative historians I've ever had the pleasure of dissecting the public history status quo with. Plus, I've learned that academic achievement is great, but doing things in your own particular way, in your own weirdo voice, is better. So let's get weird, history nerds. One of the things that I most appreciate about Northeastern University's history department is its earnest embrace of the digital. My initial exposure to the digital humanities involved a lot of hair pulling and crying and angry texting, as many of you can attest to, and even snarky commenting on the futuristic furniture choices of the DSG. I could see how methods like text mining could be useful to historians, but it hurt my brain to actually conceptualize how to go about using those methods myself. The application of digital methods to history and public history was really scary, but it was also a really cool concept. So I did my best to figure it all out. And some of my efforts were more successful than others. I'm looking at you, Names of Scottish Witches project, where I forgot to actually include the names of Scottish witches. But over the course of the past 2 years, I've heard the following question leveled at these methods. So what? It's a great question, and it's one that I can revisit later in about 30 or 40 years when I have a little more grasp on the philosophical aspects of our field. But first, another of Dr. Blatt's pieces of advice to me about this speech was to check out a few commencement speeches to get a feel for the genre, which I did, by compiling the top 10 best commencement speeches according to the very official and not at all sketchy graduationwisdom.com. Writing a program in Python to determine individual word frequencies, and then using that program to compile a list of the 30 most frequently used words within the 10 best commencement speeches. And I thought to myself, if 30 words can sufficiently capture the essence of an image on, say, museum exhibit signage, surely a list of the 30 most frequently used words within the 10 best commencement speeches will sufficiently distill the super deep important wisdom at the heart of effective commencement speaking. I was gonna hack my own speech, y'all, because Northeastern taught me how. But it worked as well as you might imagine, which is to say my results were as facetious as my premise. Therefore, it is both my greatest honor and my deepest shame to present to you this deeply emotional, intellectually profound, thoroughly silly commencement poem that I computer generated for your enjoyment. And spoiler alert, this poem is amazing. Really, years, make us something good one day. See every even little thing, life, way. Like people, no, don't think, go. Get much love, never want, ever. It's world time. Thank you. Thank you. So, right now you're probably thinking, what is this clearly amazing digital poet doing in the history department? And you're not wrong, because its world time is going to be stuck in your head all day despite not meaning a damn thing. You're welcome. It's just data rearranged, and it can mean as much or as little as we want it to. And I'd say I'm sorry because, to be really real, reading that awkward poem just now took me back to a time in my life with smudged eyeliner and terrifying fashion choices, but I had a lot of fun using some of what Northeastern's warm, inviting humanities community has taught me in order to make it. So I'm not really sorry. I'm glad that I made it. I'm glad that you heard it. And most of all, I'm glad that this history program, these peers, this faculty, have all been by my side, encouraging me to face my fears, raise my voice, and follow any lead that sparks my interest. Since I've been offered this literal platform from which to raise the voice that Northeastern University helped to shape, and since now I've expelled most of the silliness out of my system, I'd like to take this opportunity to answer the question of so what by being a version of that girl. That girl I am in class, the subaltern who rails against isms, who preaches to the choir about justice, and who generally annoys everyone with her activism. So here goes. I believe we are among some of the most privileged young historians working today. Northeastern University's history department embraces the digital, the accessible, and even the controversial. Just take a look at the States of Incarceration exhibit located directly across the street from the Boston Police Department. Complicated conversations about perspectives and truths are valued here. Neither the students nor the faculty are afraid to re-examine what they think they know about the world or about themselves in order to produce better, more inclusive historical work. And boy howdy does this dusty old discipline need us now more than ever. Let's not even talk about how our work could help change our current political landscape, because man, have we got our work cut out for us there. But I, for one, finally feel up to the task. For all of my bluster, all of my intersectional preaching, frustrated political commentary, and vocal impatience for white men past and present, I have never once been silenced here. I have only been encouraged to keep digging and to keep shouting about what I find, to write those histories that have been buried, and to step aside when it's not my place to write them. Because this department, and the public history program specifically, has made it clear that my worth, all of our worth, lies not just in academic achievement, but also in our unique perspectives and our individual truths, our personal hunches and the diverse methods we use to follow them, our voices, the way we use them. So what? It's still a great question. This here, right now, this isn't a commencement, but in a few days, many of us will commence. And when that happens, we must ask ourselves if we are ready to be strong, to believe in ourselves and in the importance of the work that we do. We are not war fighters. We are slayers. We are Amazons. We are the Fellowship of the Ring, born out of a passion for finding and protecting the truth. We are pioneers raised on Ta-Nehisi coats and trained at the College of Social Sciences and Humanities. We do battle on an interdisciplinary landscape. Our weapon of choice is critical thinking. We are the tech-savvy guardians of the past, commencing with the next act of our hero's journey in a new digital age of misinformation. And at the end of this week, as my digitally compiled poem quite accurately asserts, it's world time.